Hello there, Maverick traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is October 4th. Let's get into what happened today. In this video, we're going to be breaking down what happened today. Look at the news. We do have some news that caused some movement, specifically out of the Royal Bank of New Zealand. We'll take a look at the equities and commodities. Then we are going to score our markets. We're going to take a look at all of our currencies. We're going to score them from strongest to weakest. And then we're going to pair up the strongest versus the weakest and look at some entry points on a chart.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the Apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Here's where we sat 24 hours ago. Anka broke it down for you. We had dollar and yen as strong. We had the European currencies at basically flat, and we had Aussie, Kiwi as the weakest, along with the cryptos. So that's where we started 24 hours ago. Let's see what happened. We heard from the RBNZ last night. They left rates at 5.5%. Okay, that was expected. What was not expected was they were a little bit more dovish than the market was expecting. The markets have been pricing in a 60% chance of a quarter point rate hike next meeting, and they were much more dovish than that, and so that had to come down, and we've seen the Kiwi actually underperformed a little bit today. It ended flat today, but came up off of the lows from that RBNZ meeting. We also had the ADP employment report out of the US. Usually this isn't that big of a deal, but the number was really surprising. The estimates were for about 160,000 jobs. They came out at 80,000 jobs created. So this put a lot of pressure right away on 10-year bonds and the US dollar. So we did see those pull back. We'll take a look at the charts. You're going to see it was not a substantial pullback, but bonds and the dollar have been relentlessly grinding higher in this market, so any relief was welcome. So the equity markets like that, and the other currencies inversely correlated to the dollar also liked it as well. So let's take a look at the numbers. So we saw the dollar and the yen pull back, and we saw the European currencies go higher. Now I want to point this out to you because I think what we're in store for over the next couple weeks at least is that these 5 currencies are pretty much totally negatively correlated at this moment. I think the dollar, especially the dollar, if the dollar's up, the European currencies are down. If the dollar's down, the European currencies are up. I think that is the trade here for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now look, I'm not saying you have to ignore Kiwi, CAD, and the Aussie, but take a look at them. They're all doing their own thing. They all are doing, again, the CAD fell the most. The Aussie ran nicely, and then the Kiwi basically went nowhere. They're kind of doing their own thing, and you can still trade them based on their support and resistance and strength and weakness. But I think the easier trade is dollar long or dollar short versus European currencies, long or short. I think that is the trade here in currencies over the next little bit. When you look at this chart, you think, oh, everything had small moves. Not really. The S&P was up almost 1%. That's a big move. But oil just had such a big move, it's skewing this chart. It got absolutely clobbered today, 5.6% to the downside. Big fall in oil. As you can see, everything else is pretty much flat. The S&P was the best. The world index, not as good. Half the return as the S&P. Cryptos had a flat negative day. Gold had a flat negative day. So not really anything except for that big move in oil. And we come here to the crypto market. Bitcoin was up. Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum were basically flat, and Litecoin was down 2%. These are not big moves. We still do not like cryptos. I'm not even going to pull up their charts here because there's nothing going on in them at the moment. So here's a question. Do we need to update our outlook? Let's look first at what happened in the S&P today, because you can see that we reached a nice little bottom here. We became bearish when we broke through this support. We came down, we bounced up, hit our head right on resistance, and then came down to a new low. Okay, so look, we all know this is how things move. We have lower lows, lower highs until it finally isn't a lower low anymore and then makes higher highs until it turns around. That's just how things trade. At this moment, right here, right now, we have a lower low, so it's totally confirming our downtrend, but we have a green candle here showing us that, okay, this point right here could be a short-term bottom, just like we saw this point back here. So I think you have to take a look at where we are and say, okay, we just had 3 big down days. A bounce is likely. Where's the bounce going to go to? Well, we are at a little resistance point right here. If it goes up through that, we could go all the way up to here and test some resistance. I actually am mildly bullish here for the next day or two in equities. I think this is a nice little bottom we had, and I think we get a little bit more follow through. Look, I am not bullish in any way, shape, or form in this market at this moment. And I'm just going to go back to here and reiterate, this is a -3 market. All I'm saying is, I don't think we're a -3 for the next day or two, and then we should bounce, and then we are likely to fall again. So I am still bearish, but I think we're going to have a little bit of a bullish move here over the next day or two. That's it. So based on this chart, I think we got to take a look and see what is up on the schedule next and really plan our trades out for the rest of the week. Here is that ADP number I talked about. Take a look at that. That's much weaker than expected. Tomorrow, we don't really have any news. And then on Friday, we get Canadian and US employment. So look, here is what I think is likely to happen. We just had this green candle off of a low after 3 serious days of selling. I think we get another mildly up day tomorrow, and then we go into the jobs reports on Friday and either have a big up day or a big down day. I don't know what that is yet. So looking over the next 36 hours, and that's what I'm looking for in this trade. In the next 36 hours, I think the market is mildly bullish. That's what I think we're likely to see in the overall market. So I want to do things that are a more risk-on trade over the next 36 hours until that payrolls report on Friday morning. So let's go in and see some of the charts, some of the things that are actually moving today, and then we compare some things up. Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader? Here we have the US dollar on a 4-hour chart. This is how we score our velocity here. So we're looking at velocity. What has velocity right now? And you can see we did pull back. We've pulled back over the last, let's call it 24 to 36 hours here. The question is, do we get a bounce? I mean, we pulled back to a really nice support point. The big question is, do we get this bounce? I'm looking at this market over the next 24 to 36 hours as a mildly bullish market. So I think that things like the dollar and the yen are likely to underperform. So I am not looking to buy dollar here, but if you take a look at it, I can't short it. The velocity says it is at best at 0. You cannot short it. If I go to yen, that was again looking really good a day or two ago. As you can see, it's had this really mild pullback. So it's no longer a +3, it's a +1. I can't short it. So here's the problem. Typically, when the markets are going to go up, the equity markets, you typically see the dollar and yen weaken and go down. The problem is the charts aren't telling me that that's what's going to happen. The charts are telling me that no, these things could potentially bounce. You don't want to short these whatsoever. So I don't want to short dollar or yen here. So the question is, what do I go long and what do I go short? So if I come over here to the European currencies, they all moved up to a +2. So I'm definitely hunting for a long in the European currencies. And so the only question is, which one is best? Is it pound, euro, Swiss franc? And it's really easy to do this. This is our trick here. You just pair up the two currencies against each other. This is euro against Swiss franc. And the euro is moving lower against the Swiss franc. So Swiss franc is stronger than euro. The question is the Swiss franc stronger than the pound? And you can see, boy, over the past 24 hours, it's basically the same. It's a coin toss. So look, you could take a look at pound or Swiss franc. They're slightly stronger than euro. So those are the two currencies that we want to focus on the long side. But the question is, what do we short? What do we short against? And this is where we got to look at stuff like CAD, Aussie, and Kiwi. And the CAD, it's at a -2, -3. It looks really terrible here. That being said, we just took a leg down. And what happens after a leg down is we typically get sideways action or a bounce before we have a new low. This is the Asian session. I'm not looking to enter anything in the Asian session. So I'm not looking at this trade quite yet. We just had a big move lower. We're starting to see a little flattening out, possibly a bounce on CAD. I would love to see CAD either have a bounce or go sideways for the next, 8 hours, then break down. I would love to enter that on a short. Take a look at Aussie. Aussie's a decent candidate here. We are in a downtrend. We have had a rally. This rally has failed right at this moving average, and we're starting to tip down. To me, the Aussie actually looks like a better trade short than the CAD does. The CAD looks a little overextended. Aussie looks like a possibility. And let's check in on Kiwi. Kiwi, the same thing. We have a sloping moving average down. We are bouncing off of a recent new low, and we are failing at what was prior support is now resistance. Kiwi looks good as well. So we can ask the question, what is best, Aussie or Kiwi? Well, we pair those up, and we can see that the Aussie is slightly weaker. I mean, you can see here over the last couple of days, it's clearly been the Aussie weaker than the Kiwi. We had this little bounce up, but we're falling again. I've got Aussie on the top of my list. So let's look at how our velocity scores change. We had the European currencies trade with the dollar and yen. I'm telling you, I think this is the trade. I'm telling you, these are likely to go back and forth. When the European currencies are weak, expect the dollar and yen to be strong, and vice versa the other way. We then had the Aussie and the CAD change places. The CAD here looks the weakest, but it just had a big push lower, so we're looking at Aussie Kiwi on this short for the next 24 to 36 hours. And look, Bitcoin got a little better, Litecoin got a little worse. Who cares? They're still terrible at the moment. We don't buy cryptos until they're running to the upside. That is the rule. So I think we have our currency pairs. We've got pound and Swiss franc against Aussie and Kiwi. That is the trade. Let's look for them on a chart. So we took a look at pound versus Swiss franc, and we said they were about the same. And then we took a look at Aussie versus Kiwi, and we said Aussie's probably a tiny bit weaker than the Kiwi. So that's the trade. So let's take a look at pound against Aussie on our first trade. And this is exactly what we like to see. We want to be long pound, short Aussie. So we want to see this in an uptrend. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We are seeing an uptrend where we're just seeing higher highs, higher lows. You can see we've got all these points in here that we can use for support resistance points. At this point, we are pulling back to our first support level. We just broke out. We didn't really run anywhere. We pull back. Okay, if this 191.70 holds, and again, this is the Asian session, I'm not looking to be long anywhere in the next 4 to 8 hours. So I'm not even concerned about the next 2 candles on this 4-hour chart. If this level holds, I can absolutely look for a long, especially if we get a breakout above this high of 192.20. So 192.20 would be a very nice place to have a buy stop. If we do pierce this low here, the next level I'll be looking for is 191. 191 or right above it for the next buy point. So we've got 192.20 as a buy point, and we've got 191 if it gets down there as a possible buy point. That is the trade on Pound Aussie. Let's go ahead and pair up the other two. Let's take a look at Kiwi Swiss franc. Exactly what we want to see here. We want to see a downtrend. We want to be short Kiwi. We want to be long Swiss franc. This is exactly what we like to see. Falling, rallying, falling, rallying, falling, basing. So we're just looking at where's the low of this base. This base is at 54.10. I think you can have an order sitting out there to sell it at 54.08, 54.07, somewhere in there. And of course, figure out where you're going to put in your stop based on your trading system. Those are the pairs that I like here for the next 24 to 36 hours until the payrolls report on Friday morning. Wrapping this up, no big news until Friday. Expect moderate moves. We're not going to get great moves here. If you want to take the next 2 days off and then come back on the employment reports, that's great. I don't think you're going to miss great trading. I think you're going to miss so-so trading. We are meeting live as a firm on Friday morning to trade the U.S. and Canadian payrolls report. That's going to start at 8:15 a.m. Maverick traders, you guys know how to join. We're going to be trading live during that report. See if we can grab some pips off of that movement. Everyone take care and have a great night. Goodbye, everyone.